Hi, this is Forage Drops, and my name is Liliane Silva. I'm the Forage Research and Extension Specialist in Clemson University. In today's edition, I'll be talking about briefly about the basics of forage growth and production. So just to get started, let's talk a little bit about germination. So seeds are structures that contain an embryonic plant and energy storage that will serve the plant in the early stages until it is able to start fixing carbon through photosynthesis. For this process to happen, it requires proper conditions of moisture, oxygen, suitable temperature, and proper light conditions for that species planted. Some plants do not produce viable seeds or are infertile, which requires vegetative propagation to happen. So on this case, when we're doing vegetative propagation, we use plant parts as stems or roots to propagate that species and plant in other places. Once the plant starts to develop, the leaves will grow and then they can start fixing sunlight. So green plants have the ability to do photosynthesis, which is the primary mechanism for energy input and for life in general in Earth. Through light capture, plants are able to transform carbon dioxide and water in energy that is used for growth maintenance or as reserve as a storage, energy storage in the plants. This process occurs inside structures called chloroplasts, and there are two major distinct carbon pathways, fixation pathways that are classified as C3 and C4. And these are terms that we usually use to classify groups of plants. And generally, legumes and cool season grasses are C3 plants, while C4 are warm season grasses. And this nomenclature differentiation is based on the first product that the plant generates from photosynthesis. Few main differences between C3 and C4 plants include optimal temperature for growth, that for C4 plants, we are looking at a range between 90 and 95 Fahrenheit, as opposed to for C3 plants, the range will be between 65 and 75 Fahrenheit. Also, C4 plants are more photosynthetically efficiently, as well as they can produce more dry matter per unit of nitrogen and per unit of water than C3 plants. However, in this context, C4 plants have lower digestibility and crude proteins than C3 plants. You might be thinking, so why is all this important? Like, how is this applicable for my pastures? Why do I need to understand all these things, right? So on pastures, there will be a natural process of growth and forage accumulation. And after some time, the vegetative material starts to senesce. So this graph represents on the axis we have time, and on the right x we have rate of the process. And here we have quality, net accumulation, growth, and senescence, and each one of them have a color, different color here, representing what's happening over time. And just as general reference, our recommendations for when we should be harvesting or grazing a species, a pasture, usually tries to optimize to be on this sort of like on this range here that optimizes the accumulation growth, but also the quality of the material that you are going to have there to offer to your animals. So all these process, they are natural, and the plants have a specific lifetime, a specific life length for the vegetative portions. And after that, it's a natural process that the leaves will start to senesce. And during the senescence, there will be a redistribution of the nutrients on those parts, for example, the older leaves to the new leaves, just as a kind of like a recycling process inside the plants, just to be able to reuse those nutrients and for the parts that are needing that. So new leaves are more efficient photosynthetically than older leaves, just because they are more active. In generally, the night forage accumulation is the balance between the two processes, the growth and the senescence. And there's an optimal point, as I mentioned before, for harvesting that material that we will try to balance quality and quantity for providing the recommendations for the foliation for harvesting each species, each forage species. So again, we like some of the implications when we're looking at those processes is that, for example, growth has priority over storage of carbon and as energy reserves. And for this reason, one of the major implications of overgrazing, for example, is the depletion of plant reserves, which leads them to, which leads the stand in general to thin out and plants to actually die over time. So we often talk about recommendations for stubble high, for proper stubble high when we're harvesting pastures or grazing areas, and this represents the required residual leaf area for that canopy to be able to regrow and be able to keep restoring reserves over time and just persist over time. So when the foliation is too intensive and too frequent, plants may not have enough time to recuperate, which compromises their stand longevity. And similarly, prior to warm season, perennial species to undergo dormance on fall and winter months, the defoliation management should be planned to allow plants to restore to or store proper reserves, since they will be regrowing on spring, which will require them to have those reserves there so they can reestablish the leaf area in early spring. And in this context, the first defoliation of the forage canopy on late spring or early summer can happen with greater interval than for those times that we have the peak of production during the season, just so we allow plants to regrow and be actively functioning before we go there and remove the leaf area that is young and just grow after that dormant period. And attention should be paid to location of the growing points for the forages that you're using, just to avoid removing them or damaging them, since they are responsible to generate new tillers, new leaves, and just keep that stand in a good shape and for us to achieve persistence over time. So this is what I have had for today. If you have any questions, my email here, it's here on the screen. Just reach out and I'll make sure that I reply to that. Thanks for tuning up, and I'll see you on the next Forage Drops video. Thank you.